Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast. Join your host, Nicole Cox, as she dives into the real stories, tips, secrets, and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside the trade world. Nick is here to help you break free from the grind, reduce money stress, and build a trade business that truly works for you. So grab a brew, put your phone on silent, and get ready to be inspired.
Welcome back, listeners. You have got Nick at the Tradies in Business podcast, and I am joined today by Daniel Palmer. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
You're very welcome. Now, Daniel and I had the opportunity to meet with his workmate, Bill, in Hobart. What is it, about 9 months ago? 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago now? It was much cooler then.
Much cooler. Oh, it's
Yeah.
cool here today. So I've got the jacket on today. After this, once I go outside, but it's
Yep.
been pretty warm. The 4 seasons in one day in Vic. It's always fun.
Now, you and Bill flew down to be part of our conference in Hobart. It was freezing in Hobart, and it is stinking hot again here in Brisbane today. But it was a great opportunity for you to educate our clients broadly around wealth creation. And that's why we've brought you to talk to us today. Daniel, can you start with maybe telling us a little bit about who you are and how you came to be a financial advisor? And is that still the correct term for a financial advisor, or are you now more commonly referred to as a wealth advisor?
Yeah, I mean, there's many names for a financial advisor. We call ourselves financial advisors. So, but how I came into the industry, I started at a workplace in 2018. Started in client services, so in the admin side of things. I think I've always had a thing with numbers and being able to talk to people quite easily. You know, very interested in what people have to say. And one of my best friends said you should come and work here. So my interview was a 30-minute discussion Friday afternoon at the local pub, which was always good. But no, look, it really is an industry it's an amazing industry to be in. I absolutely love being a financial advisor. You can make that really significant difference in people's
Mm,
lives, which is the biggest thing, because money's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Generally speaking, we find our money lessons from either mum or dad or our
mm,
partner, brother or sister. Once upon a time, it was the news. So a lot of the time, if you don't get that from mum or dad, and if you don't get it from your partner, a lot of the time something's happening in the news and it's always negative. But now
yeah.
you're essentially finding information off Google or social media, and you're essentially then just confirmation bias. If
Mm,
you've got an idea, you can find what it is on Google. So I think being able to also digest and sort through the everything going on in the world and sort through that to be able to find out what clients want, what clients need, where they want to get to, and
mm.
then building that plan out from there.
Daniel, you referenced everything that's going on in the world as we go to it's a pretty freaky time out there. There's a lot of things going on. Is now the time that we should, as business owners, even be thinking about wealth creation?
Yeah, it is. There really is, no time like the present. It's the saying of, I should have done it yesterday, but if not then, do it today, or do it 10 years ago.
Hmm.
It's one of those things where you can never time the market, and you can look up and do some research on, timing the vast market versus time in the market.
Hmm.
And generally speaking, if we wait for that time, I've had discussions with people and clients over the last 2 years, saying, "Oh, I think the markets are going to crash." So they haven't done anything, and then all of a sudden, markets have not crashed in 2 or 3 years significantly. So I think it is very much one of those things where you're best to start today, at least think about these things, because if we have that long term horizon and time on our side, then whether it is today, you've got that on your side, so things can rebound, they can go up and down.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely, it's always a good time to start the conversation.
Okay, so on that time then, some of our listeners are in their 20s and some of our listeners are in their 60s. Is there a better time? I mean, obviously, the earlier the better. However, is it too late once I hit my 60s?
No, it's not. And we have quite a number of clients. So we've at Bold Wealth, we've got younger demographic clients, we've got mum and dad clients, young families, then your pre-retiree clients that the kids may be out of the nest. So all of a sudden the bills have now gone right down, food bill in particular. And then we've got the retirees, and some of the retiree clients that we have who come to us at 60, 61, 62. They go, "Oh, is it too late now? Like I might still have a mortgage, or don't have enough super, or whatever it may be." It's never too late, because then all that happens there is you still then don't do anything, and then you get to 65 and you ask yourself the exact same question,
Mm, yeah,
or
that's
70.
true.
So it's definitely never too late to do it. You can wish you did it 10 years ago.
Mhm.
But it's as we said before, it's better to do it today, see where you're at, put that plan in place and go from there.
Mm. There can be a lot of shame around money. We discussed this at conference quite extensively. And so I feel like that's one of the barriers that prevents people from having these kinds of conversations. What do you say to those who are listening that might feel uncomfortable about their financial position and so have never reached out for some help?
Well, I think you've just got to, yeah. One of the things that we have on the shirt, be bold.
Mm,
You've really got to take control of your finances. And to your point, yeah, that we definitely spoke about that in Tassie, around that stigma of talking about money. That if you've got lots of money, it's like, well, you're showing off. But then if you don't have much money, then you feel ashamed and
mm,
and not worthy, and those sorts of things. So every client's situation, every person's situation is different.
mhm.
So someone with this amount of money might only live on this amount, and then that's more than enough for what they need.
Yeah.
So the value of money is it's such a different thing to different people.
Mm,
So the first thing that we would do is just say, reach out. We have a 15-minute introduction call, even just to ask the questions, see where it lands. The other thing is, as well, is find someone that you're also comfortable with. So if you speak to someone and you're not comfortable with them, find someone who you are comfortable with. If it's not mum or dad, it might be an auntie and uncle, or it might be a grandparent, it might be a friend. There's
mm,
going to be someone in your network outside of even a financial advisor that you're going to be able to talk to. And yeah, if not, it is always worth having that 15-minute discussion with an advisor, because even if you're not potentially at that time to get advice,
mhm,
a good advisor, and one of the things that we do at Bold is we'll point you in the right direction. So if it's a case of, oh, I can't save, what do I need to do? It's like, okay, well, go on Money Smart. There's heaps of material there to be able to download, utilize. There's calculators. There's so much information there to at least then get a start. And people don't even know to look at that. So
mm.
yeah, definitely worthwhile reaching out to an advisor, talking to friends, just be comfortable with that discussion.
I think the comfort's the most important part of talking to any advisor. You need to be comfortable. You need to I always say to my clients, you need to feel like you could have a beer with them at the end of the day at the pub. If that
Correct.
makes sense
And
to you, then you're able to open up and talk to them about those things that might feel a bit vulnerable, yeah?
yes, and we have such vulnerable discussions.
Mm,
So whether it is, planning for retirement, whether it is, estate planning, to go, okay, well, how can I get my kids, the money in the most tax effective way once I
yep,
pass away?
yep.
It is very, we say we're half financial planner, half counselor at times, having those discussions, because then you've also got varying views as well. Someone might
Yeah.
be high risk or low risk, and working all these things out. So
Mm.
it's yeah, it's really interesting. It's really
Ah.
interesting.
Okay, leading question. I find, particularly with tradies, there's a real trend to do everything we can for ourselves. Now, I have clearly seen a lot of the pitfalls in what this looks like when it comes to wealth creation. But Daniel, maybe you can talk to us about the advantages of having good advisors in your corner.
Definitely. I think building that really good team around you is just so important. So a lot of tradies, they all have accountants that look after that side of things. If you've got a team of employees, you've got a bookkeeper to be able to do all those things. And the other thing that is really important, you've probably got a broker as well if you need to take on any debt. So the other part of that is, okay, well then how do we then utilize this cash flow that we've got coming in to then also build our wealth that might be outside of our business or outside of our family home? And it is so important utilizing the tools that we have, whether it's super, whether it's investment, whether investing in trust, and that goes down an absolute rabbit hole. But it really is important to then look at that future to go, "Oh, okay, well, I can't use this hammer forever.
Hmm.
What am I going to do when I can't?" and how do we plan for that so that there may be a succession plan in the business, or there may be, whatever it is to be able to, utilize some funds from investing.
Mm.
It's about forward thinking to go, okay, well, I can't do this forever. What's the end game, so that when we do stop, we've got funds there to be able to fund our lifestyle that we would like.
Yeah, totally. And you don't know what you don't know. And we're all grown. It's probably the wrong word, but we all grow up with a financial bias one way or the other. And we need to have that challenged from time to time. And that's where an
Yeah,
advisor can come in and really help you look at things differently, or make you aware of something you weren't aware of, or just show you an opportunity that you might have missed because you didn't know existed.
yeah.
I'm a big fan. Daniel, can we talk? Things are a little bit topsy turvy at the moment. People are a little nervous and uncomfortable. Let's talk about protection for business owners. What can we do?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things we can do there, and the two things that we see most is one, planning financially for the future, and also protecting yourself in the case that something happens to you. Now that comes in the form of your personal insurances, whether they're life insurance, total permanent disability, income protection is a really big one. So
Mhm.
making sure that if something does happen on the work site, or if something doesn't happen on the work site, whether it's a health scare, whether it's an injury, that if you can't go back to work, that you've got those protections in place in insurances, but then also got that fallback of whether it's an investment there to fall back on that you've been working towards, whether it's an emergency savings account, things to fall back on, so that if that time comes, and I know at some point in our lives we always feel like we're invincible, or if we've done this, or we hurt ourselves here, but we ended up being okay. We got on with it, and it's like that's great that you got on with it then, but you might not be able to get on with it the next time.
Mm.
So it is really making sure that it's not too late before we put these things in place, and circles back to your point around doing it today rather than tomorrow.
Most definitely. Nothing's more
Mm.
important than protecting yourself the best way you can. All right. There are lots of ways we can build wealth, particularly as business owners. Do you want to talk us through a couple of strategies that we should be opening our minds to considering?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that we see, especially with tradie clients, is neglecting super.
Hmm.
That would be the biggest one. It's the most tax effective vehicle that we can use, and a lot of the time that we do see with our clients who are tradies, is they do get to that 55 or 60, and they've invested all their money and time and everything into the business, and their super balance is at 30 or 40,000, and they go, how can we retire? That's outside of downsizing our principal place of residence,
Hmm.
and which a lot of the time is a great strategy. You still need to use super as well to downsize and do that anyway. So
Mm.
I think it really is being able to utilize your contributions to super if you're self-employed. To be able to put that in, you can put in up to 30,000 every year. It's likely going to change if it hasn't already to 32,500. And one of the other things that we really do see, because a lot of tradie clients also may have investment properties. That's always another way to grow your wealth. And at some point in time, there's going to be capital gains if you liquidate it. So one of the other strategies that we also then do see, and of course this is general, go and see your accountant, see a financial advisor before you do any of this. But one of the other things that you can do as well is use what's called catch-up contributions.
Hmm.
So what they are is, and again, what we usually see is if you don't contribute to super for 3 or 4 years, what happens is you can then build that up over a period of time. So
Hmm.
if you do have a capital gain from a property, if business has been going well, you've got multiple employees and you need to bring your taxable income down, you can always use those catch-up contributions and potentially put up to 100, 120, 130,000 as a tax deduction into super. It's
Yes,
a
incredible.
amazing way to be able to reduce your income, but it's also then growing your wealth
Mm.
as well. So it might not be if you're in your 30s, or if you're in your 40s, it might not be immediate, but that compounding effect of investing over a long period of time, so you can reach it at 60, you will get to then and go, thank God I did that.
Absolutely. Daniel, can you talk to us about super? So I've heard a fair bit of stuff of late. And again, like we were talking off air, I think the algorithms can be very swayed one way or another depending on your bias. But I've heard a fair bit of late about minimizing, or only doing what is necessary with your super, and then using your your cash assets as other ways to invest rather than putting it into super and doing anything with your super. Do you think that there are times for those strategies, or do you think that these are trends, or what determines the right strategy for one particular person?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it really does come down to each client. So, for instance, if we've got a 30-year-old client and they've got surplus cash flow and that their goal is to buy an investment property and needs to save for a deposit, well, then super might not be the right way to go. And we can plan out to go, okay, well, it'll take you 5 years to get to 100,000. Let's put it aside into here or create this investment vehicle so that you do that. But then also utilizing maybe some contributions to super to bring down taxable income, depending on how much surplus you've got.
Mhm,
But then if you've got a 55 or a 60-year-old client who goes, okay, well, we've got this surplus, we want to invest it into a diversified investment outside of super. It's like, well, we may as well put it inside so that you're reducing your tax. Your
mhm,
goal is then to retire in X amount of years, which then you can access that money. So it really is a case by case. And what we do is go through our discovery meeting at the start of the process to work out what you want to do, what's important to you, what you value, what destination do you want to get to? And then we utilize the investments and super and all those things. We use those as a vehicles to get from point A to point B and then point
mhm,
C and point D.
mhm.
So it really is there's no one size fits all.
Mm.
Absolutely not. So
I think it's really important to point out, even in the conversation or the statement you've just made, Daniel, it's very clear that this is a pragmatic mathematical discussion. And whilst there's big feelings at play, of course, for the people that are sitting in front of you, and I happen to know many of your team, and you're very empathetic and understanding, it is a pragmatic conversation. It's not one that should be avoided.
it shouldn't, and there can be hard discussions as well. A lot of people, one of the biggest things with, and I'll use divorce as an example. One of the biggest things is money
Yeah.
because no one wants to address the money things at home. So, or the money issues. So, one of the reasons why some people do put off even seeing an advisor is because you just want to avoid that conflict of this person saves, but this person spends.
Mm,
So this person has high risks, this person has low risk and it kind of stems back to that point around, what did we learn when we were growing up?
yep.
That if mum and dad didn't have much money, well, then they've seen that, so they want to be able to save. But then mum and dad might have had heaps of money, so they're happy to take on that risk. There's so many different variables. So yeah, it is a vulnerable discussion. And as we said off air, we're half advisor, half counselor at
Yeah.
times. So it very much is being able to work out what direction do we want to collectively get to, which is generally fairly on track.
Mm,
But then it's just working out how do we get there in a way where everybody's also comfortable. Because
mm,
the last thing you want anyone to do, and this would just be a rule of thumb for anyone who sees an advisor, is that everything that is recommended and you do that you are comfortable with it
mm.
because you don't want to be going home going, "Oh, I didn't understand that. I don't know what that was. Oh, that's really high risk. I'm now going to lose sleep." All those sorts of things. That is just the last thing that you want. It should be an open, honest discussion. And we have that rule of thumb where there's no silly questions.
Mm.
So any question that needs to be brought up, we want people to walk away feeling empowered with information rather than walking away going, "I just don't know what that last 10 minutes was about."
Yeah.
And then what we see is that people get stuck in that hamster wheel. And rather than breaking it, to be able to make that bold decision to go out and do something, you just end up going back to the same thing. And it goes back to that, well, then 5 years passes and we're still
Mm.
we're still where we were 5 years ago.
Sadly, I see it too often. And I think
Yeah.
that the entire purpose of talking to advisor is so that you do sleep at night, not
Yeah.
so that you lose sleep,
Yep.
is really
It's
important. Okay.
it's peace of mind. It really
Yeah.
is that peace of mind. And one of the things that has changed in the industry over time, and one thing that we're really, really big on is that it's not just about the investments.
Yep.
So maybe once upon a time, if we had this pie chart, it was all investments and then a little bit about the person.
Mhm.
Whereas now we're about, there's a little bit of investment, but then there's family values, there's where you want to get to, there's tax, there's all these other different things where investment makes up a portion of it, but it's about who the person is, where they want to get to,
Mm.
what they value, what they want to do for either their family or their kids or their friends or dreams and aspirations, all those sorts of things. Because without that, the investments kind of don't really mean anything.
Yeah, very true.
Mm.
Can we talk about self-managed super? I kind of feel like it's a bit of a buzz conversation at the moment with business owners, particularly tradie business owners. Can we go through some of the basics that we need to know before we even consider this as an option for us?
I think the biggest thing is just getting the right advice. And I think that one of the things, and again back to the social media side of things, and you see the algorithm or the post going, take control of your money, do it yourself, all these sorts of things. And
Mhm,
and we use this example at the Tassie presentation. It's you could do a DIY, but if I did a DIY and went to build something, I know I'm just going to have to get someone to fix it anyway. So, these are not blue collar hands and do not have the skill set for it. So it's very much one of those things where you need to get advice on these things because there is a somewhat barrier to entry, whether it's having the right balance,
mhm,
also what it is that you want to achieve, and it comes back to that. What do you want to do? If you just want to invest in shares and whatnot, well, SMSF's probably going to be way too complex. If
mhm,
you want to purchase a building to be able to work out of, well, then it's also then working out, going, okay, well, what's your balance? How's it going to look with your contributions going in? How's it going to
mhm,
look with the lending? All these other different variables. So it really is a case of sitting down with an advisor, with your accountant, working out what it is, because a lot of the time as well, you need to make contributions to super as well to show that you can service everything in there.
yeah,
So it is about doing it right, because we've seen, quite unfortunately, a number of times where SMSF just has not been appropriate,
mm,
and then we end up just winding it up because it's just too much for what a client needs. So
mm,
I really think, and especially in tradie world, it's about working out why you want to do it, and just not doing it for the sake of it either. And this again comes back to some of that social media stuff where they go, oh, you've got super, just buy a property with it,
mm,
and you go, well, that's great, but what's going to happen when you want to retire or when
yep,
you need to have funds there to be able to pull funds out? All those different things. So again, it really, and I could give a boring answer every time to seek advice because everyone's different, but it really is just so important to be able to not go on the internet and
mm.
go, I can set this up for $300 and they'll do it all for me and I can do what I want. It is really important to get that advice.
I don't think any of us shouldn't be playing to our strengths. I know my strength is not to give myself my own financial advice. I need help
Yes.
with that. And I'm certainly not going to set up my own super fund. That's too much work for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel, how do we choose a good advisor? I think you're another industry, much like my own, where people have been burnt in the past, and so there can be a lot of fear around the emotional availability with the vulnerability that comes with talking to an advisor, but also, there's so many stories out there about people that have had bad experiences. It can
Yeah.
prevent people from making, decisions to then go out and seek that help. So when we do make that decision, we're gonna get some help. How do we find the right people?
Yeah, I think it is doing the research on the firm. It's being able to ask the right questions, ask about process, ask about fee structure, how fees can be paid, how that looks, what sort of ongoing service are you going to get for your money, what the advice process looks like, how long is it going to take. You can also then look up on Google the financial advice register, to Google, so you can look me up. There's two Daniel Palmers. I'm Daniel James Palmer, and if you go on there, you can see that someone is registered, that they are actually an advisor. But also just making sure that you're comfortable with the person as well. And
Mm.
it's I'm also then a big believer of, with you want to work with the people, as you said, you want to have a beer with,
Yeah.
because you could be the best at what you do, but if you don't get along and you clash and all these sorts of things, like it's not going to work. So
Mm.
it's making sure that you are comfortable with that person to be able to have those tough discussions. But yeah, making sure that, any question that's also then asked, that the advisor has an answer.
Mhm.
that there isn't any of this grey area or ambiguity around the answer or how things are. So, if you ask us about fee structure or process or how things look or where we are or anything like that, we will give you a black and white answer because that's how it should be.
Mhm. So you're saying that I shouldn't get my advice from social media?
No, no. So, I like social media is great, right? It really is great at times there's some great advisors out there, with some great content. There's podcasts, there's like this.
Mm,
There's some really good podcasts out there that you can, listen to as well. So there is content out there, but again, it's about picking and choosing. That if you do see someone and they say something outlandish like, I can buy 5 properties in 1 year, or I can double your money in a year. It's like, well, let's fact check that. Let's
yes,
Google to see if they are on the financial advice register. Let's
yes,
do a little digging.
yeah,
Yeah, the other rule of thumb is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
every single time.
Yeah.
Daniel, I could talk about money all day. It used to be something that I hated talking about. These days, it makes me very happy indeed. Or perhaps the money
Mm.
part of it always did make me happy. What's something that you would really love every trade business owner, if I bring it back to our actual listeners, what would you like them to know?
I think it's just that there's support out there.
Mm,
There is support out there for people, and it really is just as easy as going online, finding where to book in a meeting, and just locking in that time to have a discussion.
mhm,
I think that really is the biggest one, and I know across the board, everyone at the moment, one of the things that I try and avoid is when people go, "Oh, how's this? How you going? How's work?" And you say, "I'm busy." It's like everybody's busy.
yep.
So I think it is really about making that time to be able to go, "Okay, let's just do this, have a discussion," because there is support out there for people to have these discussions so that you're doing it today and not in 5, 10, 15 years' time.
Mhm, mm. Daniel, thank you. I've really enjoyed our chat today. Can you tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and Bold Wealth?
Yeah, for sure. So www.boldwealth.com.au, that has everything about Bold. It's got information about where we started, who we are, all our staff, all our offices. So we've got a home base in Melbourne, but we've got essentially an office in Bendigo, Hobart, Melbourne, Mildura, and Wollongong.
Mhm.
So we're a little bit everywhere, which is fantastic. You can go on to our profiles. You can book in a meeting there, which goes straight to our calendar to book in a 15-minute call. Or there's a contact us section there as well that we monitor and get back within 24 hours, and then we go from there. You book in a time, put in your phone number. I'll give you a call. And yeah, as you've probably gathered from this, well, we all are. We're all an open book. So
Yeah.
please, you make sure to reach out, ask the questions that you need, and there's always support there.
Love it. Okay, I've got one final question. When tradies go to the pub and they're hanging out with their mates that are non-tradies, they're constantly peppered for advice. How do I do this? What would you do here? How about this? So on and so forth. Is it the same for you?
Oh, well, it's probably a little bit harder for us because if we do that and we say do this and do that and it goes
Yeah.
wrong, we're going to get in a lot more trouble
Mm.
than probably what tradies are. So, so I mean, look, we're always happy if it's general information and friends or family go, look, what
Mm.
do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think of this loan structure or whatever it is? We're always happy to give that general information out. And one of the things that we do as well is, we'll do, whether it's business talks or come down and see you guys in Hobart, to be able to go and have those, like, have a presentation, have an open discussion about all these things. So we're a little bit more red taped around, what should I invest in this or invest in this? The answer is book in a 15-minute call, go to our website. But yeah, I mean, any information that we can give out though, that may be family and friends, like, yeah, for sure. That's not personal advice.
Thanks, Daniel. It's been amazing.
Thanks, Nick. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Tradies in Business podcast with Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.